Happy Easter, everybody. It's been an early Easter this year, and I haven't really had much chance to celebrate it as I usually would. Part of that is because I've been recovering over the last 2 weeks from my holiday. I always go through this period after a holiday of having to sort of get back on my feet again, and it can take, well, a couple of weeks. It's amazing how it takes you months and months and months to build up good habits, and 2 weeks for it all to disappear. And of course before that there was all the problems that I had with my tooth and my tonsil. So it's because Easter's been early, and because of all that, I haven't really had a chance to sort of mention it this year in my blogs. Today we move into April, and although the weather is nice at the moment, they tell me that the nice weather we were due to have at the start of the month has now been moved to the middle of the month, and that we're still expecting snow next week. It's beyond a joke, really. You know, anybody now who even dares to claim that climate change isn't true is an absolute idiot, because it's obvious to people, even people like me who were, you know, don't remember the 80s at all particularly, have noticed the difference between the 90s and the last decade that's been. We used to have cold winters and hot summers, and that has changed now. Winter has expanded. We don't really get autumn and spring now. We get winter from about, well, 6 months really, and then we get summers which are complete washouts. They're not warm, they're tepid, and they're windy, and they're rainy, and they're killing all the plants, and they're changing the ecosystem, and they're causing a lot of problems. You know, I've heard a lot of other people say silly things like, oh, well, can't be global warming. Well, that depends on whether you are actually aware of the facts of global warming, and that is that due to the British position on the globe, we are very lucky to have had the weather that we've had at all at our latitude. And the effects of global warming, are the precursor to an ice age. So anybody who says it's going to get hotter doesn't understand the concept of global warming. Global warming doesn't have a lot to do with the temperature of whether you can sunbathe or not. And secondly, for us in Britain, it will spell cold, and we're talking about the sort of conditions that you would have if you were at this position on the planet, say in Canada or in the Baltic. You know, we are as high up as the Baltic, but we don't have the weather that, you know, Norway, Sweden, Lapland have, and we should be getting more of that. The reason we don't is two reasons. Firstly, there's a Gulf Stream, so the ocean is kept warm, and it's the ocean that goes cold when the warmth melts the polar ice caps, and the cold from that, you know, it's cold water that's being released, puts out the Gulf Stream. And the second thing is to do with a pattern of wind which seems to be shifting south. That I don't understand, but I'm sure that's got something to do with it as well. So, you know, there we are. That's my thoughts on it. My other thoughts on it are that it's a natural process. So if people say, you know, oh my goodness, you know, all this global warming is terrible. Well, global warming and global cooling, they happen naturally. The difference between this particular cycle and any other cycle is that we are speeding up the process by, you know, all the chemicals and stuff that all the pollution that we're releasing. And whether that will have a side effect, an unknown side effect, we don't know. But anyway, So I planted my seeds for the plantation, and of course nothing grew in the first week because it was too cold, but now they are beginning to grow. I have rocket growing, and when I mean growing, I mean they're actually about sort of that big now, so they're beginning to get reasonable size now. It won't be long before they're transplanted, I don't think, a couple of weeks, if they grow at the same rate, which they won't if it snows. My rocket is growing well, my pak choy is growing very well, and I think the other one is lettuce. And everything else has yet to come up, but the potatoes are sprouting now, so that's another good thing as well. You know, there are three other things to mention. The first thing to mention is the birthdays. We've got quite a lot of birthdays today. This week we've got Lewis Kane, Dustin Jacoby, Raphael Cavalcanti, James Wilkes, Charlie Raider, Miss Jen, Mark Dunn, Marcus Brimage, Tyrone Woodley and Dan Downs. So happy birthday to all of them. I hope you eat lots of cake, because I certainly would eat lots of cake if it was my birthday again. The second thing to say is that I am now on Skype, and I love Skype. It is a free program that you can download from the internet, and if you have a webcam and a microphone, and I have to say that most webcams come with microphones built in now, all you do is you connect it up, and it works like a MSN works, but you can speak and you can see the person. And I also have to say it is free, computer to computer, and that works internationally as well. You know, I don't have many people on my Skype account yet, and I want people on my Skype account. So if you're a regular watcher, or you're somebody from the forums or where this is distributed, let me know, and I will see to it that we are connected, and then we can have video calls and stuff. It's fantastic. It's totally free, and it works wherever you are on the planet. So, you know, I have tested that out. That's not just a theory. I spoke to my friend Michelle on the far side of the US. We were about 9 hours apart, and we were able to talk and see each other, no problem. So, you know, be part of that, you know, you don't then need to wait for my weekly video blog. You can have me in your living room every day. The last point of this blog is a bit of a sad one, actually. You know, my family is spread out across all of England, and one of the people that I don't see very often is a person called Great Aunt Joan. Now, she was 96 years old, and she was in a home on the south coast. She's one of my nan's sisters, and due to old age, and it sort of wasn't unexpected. We've been told she's been on death's door for well over a year, but she did die on Thursday, the Thursday before Good Friday. You know, I exchanged a few letters with her when I was at university. I only met her twice that I can remember. Once when I was younger, we were back in Lincoln, and she came up for some reason, I don't know why, and she was having a meal with us and stuff. And another time that I distinctly remember was in '97 when my grandfather died, and she was of course up there for the funeral. You know, it's very sad, and it's another, you know, golden oldie of the family that has passed away, and that generation now is fading. I suppose that happens all the time, doesn't it? But that generation is beginning to dwindle. We've had a lot of deaths in the last 10 years, and they've all been people of that generation. They are now sort of 70s, 80s and 90s, and I don't know, it brings to everybody their own sense of mortality, their own sense of the fact that they are always growing up, and that eventually they are at the top of the family, and I suppose, naturally speaking, they are the next ones to die. You know, I don't know how I feel about that, because obviously I'm over 30 now, and my parents are fast becoming that generation, and of course after that it will be me. You know, I don't know, it's something to think about. You know, life is quite precious, it's quite short, and people can die at any time, but you do have to spare a thought for you know, some of the older members of the community who have seen a lot of things, lived a very long and full life, but maybe they are now on their own, or they are watching as their peers, the people their own age, the people they've always grown up with, you know, are dying, and they think, you know, when will it happen to them? And I suppose who will be left to attend their funeral when the end comes?